Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. I am back again with another update from Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has ordered a recount of the presidential votes in some polling stations across the country. And this is coming because during the pretrial chamber that I had earlier analyzed in my previous video, there was a ground that the Supreme Court set. One was on the integrity of results at the portal, that is at the transmission level. And the other they also wanted to look at was whether the numbers are actually different between some in the portal and at some polling stations. So, according to the judges, is that they have ordered that, and the exercise is scheduled to begin this afternoon, today the 30th of August, 2 p.m. at undisclosed location, and will take 48 hours to scrutinize the votes. The exercise is scheduled to begin, is expected to end on Thursday at 2 p.m. and a report be filed in court. Each party shall be represented by 2 agents during the exercise, and they shall at times be under the supervision of the Registrar of Supreme Court and her staff. The Registrar shall file her report by 5 p.m. on September 1st and avail copies to all the parties that are involved in it. Now, the file, I want to name for you these polling stations. These polling stations include Nandi Hills, Sinendeti Primary School in Nandi, Belgut, Kapswer, Chebukati Primary Schools in Kericho County, Jomvu, this is Mombasa, Mikindani, Ministry of Water Tanks polling stations in Mombasa County, Mvita, Majengo, Mvita Primary Schools in Mombasa County, Tinderet Konmo in Nandi County, Jarok, Gavanji, Kiheo Primary School polling station in Nyandarua. Now, these are just the 15 that has been listed. There are also other demands that have been given to Azimio la Umoja. But before we look at those demands, I want to say that this decision by this order by Supreme Court, I think was first determined after receiving affidavits from all the parties. And I agree with lawyers and analysts who say that even going through the affidavits of the different parties in this case, the judges knows what exactly they need to do and what they need to go for. Because all the exercise of lawyers, of course, they will prevent their defense. But I think the Supreme Court is also trying to just intervene and get what exactly happened. It also ordered the IBC to provide Azimio la Umoja with copies of its technology system, policy comprising but not limited to the password, and I think in one of my analysis, this is interesting. In one of my analysis, I analyzed, and if you check, I said that IBC needed to give policy. No, the Cherera affidavits needed to reveal to us who amongst IBC staff is supposed to be having the password and to what access. I looked at that. I mentioned that at some point. It will be interesting. Now, and I think it was in my expectation from the affidavits of the 4 commissioners that we should know in the commission who is allowed to access the servers. The password matrix, owners of system administration, passwords, users, systems, and levels of access. I'm telling you, this is going to be very meticulous. Something I can promise you. The case is going to be very meticulous, and it's going to be different from what maybe Kenyans are used to. Also to be produced is the workflow charts for identification, tallying, transmission, and posting of portals and any APIs that has been integrated. This is demanded because at Bomas of Kenya, if you remember the laptop that was confiscated that Gladys Sholeo was using, there was a forensic audit that was done, and I think that was by the DCI because the laptop was confiscated, and it revealed that that laptop was connected to some API that was getting access to a depository of Form 34A, but then that was not IBC, it was some depository server. So maybe that is what they want to find out. IBC has also been asked to provide access to any servers at the National Tallying Center for storing, transmitting, voting information, and which are forensically imaged to capture a copy of Form 34C, which is the total votes cast. Now, guys, let me just tell you something. Yesterday, there was a sworn affidavit by George Njoroge, the Azimio IT guru, and was actually saying that Chebukati was downgrading from the manipulation was from Form 34A to 34B and 34C. Kumbe, at the National Tallying Center, when the Form 34As were sent there, remember there was from Kim's kit to a server, then this server was sending the data to IBC portal and the other one to the National Tallying Center. So at the National Tallying Center, Form 34A was there. It was producing, also collating to give Form 34B and also at Form 34C. Someone was saying, do you think that IBC was also adding the figures in the portal? That maybe they also had their staff seated somewhere adding the figures? No, they had a feed. So this question of, I think someone wants to know that at the National Tallying Center, what was the Form 34C? The hard copy, the image. Wow. The commission is also required to provide errors of forms signed by the IBC chair during the national tallying and verification process at the tallying center between 10th and 15th. Now, let me just mention something at this level. Huh? The results are at polling stations are final. But you cannot have 100% efficiency. So there is a high likelihood, because polling stations are final, but when you realize that there is discrepancies, then as a commission you cannot change but to note down the differences, so that during a petition you are supposed to take that to the court when someone goes to court. I think that ruling of polling station votes is final. It had some loopholes, but then what this will determine, and this also I mentioned that it's an injection that the four commissioners are going to help come out with clearly, that why not cover there is some discrepancies between the physical copies of Form 34A and the portal, the ones that are in portal. Then what did they do? Which one did they use? Did they note those discrepancies? I think it's also time for Kenyans to get to understand this in terms of figures. Now, there is also something that they ordered. I think the article I was reading did not capture it well. Yes, I think I need to get it. Now, the IBC was also asked to provide all Forms 34A used in the election to authorize manual identification of voters. Okay. Electoral commissions asked to deliver the KMPG report on the register of voters, a full audit report on the technology used, and the report of the vendor, due diligence, and technology used in general election. This is where this thing now is going south. Let me tell you. The report on the vendor is the person who supplied the technology. This is the smartmatic, maybe. Then the other vendor is the person who printed the ballot papers. That is the grease company. Now, the due diligence and technology used in the general election. Now, what this is I think that Supreme Court will also try to look at the credit card or the success card of that company. At some point in a joint media briefing, one of the journalists, I think it's from K24, was asking Marjan whether he knew that the company that they gave the tender to provide the technology had bungled elections in Venezuela and I think some other country, Palestine or something. And Marjan said that he will not defend and did not have figures on that. Then what this shows you is that they are going to look at it. It was direct to deliver the error forms. That is there. So guys, this election, the approach that Supreme Court is giving it is very interesting because it does not end at the numbers. They're also going to look at the provider of that technology. If that technology, because one thing that might happen is, I think if they find out that there was hacking and the integrity of results is questionable, and the company could also be responsible for the mess, then in orders, they might actually order that if there is a rerun, then we need to make an overhaul procurement of even the IBC infrastructure. Guys, what are you seeing in this? I want to break this down for you so that you understand why this whole issue is not that easy. Kindly subscribe to our channel and also remind us about Sarah Tieno's medical fundraiser that is going on. We extended by 15 days to collect 215,000 to top up on what was remaining, because that is what was remaining, so that she can be discharged from the hospital. She's been suffering acute leukemia, and the bill inflated to 1.5 million. The other part was covered. So as Team Bold, we gave ourselves that in this election, at the end of it, we can also take our bragging rights and say we impacted into someone's life. A very good opportunity. And of course, I want to continue thanking you guys for this. We're just 6 days to the end of it. I can still continue to reach out to us. You can contribute at least 50 shillings. What to get? And of course, it will impact a life. The number is there, 0710 62 78 89, and it will appear Kevin Oduor. Supreme Court is pursuing numbers in this election. It is no longer about the kind of English and the number of lawyers that you are going to hire to go and defend. It is about the numbers. That is it. I remember there is another interesting post in social media where someone is saying, Mr. I want it free and fairly has hired 50 lawyers to defend. Sometimes are just very interesting. When I was doing research, I bumped on that somewhere. So this time round, yes, kila kitu, lakini we want to know the numbers. And most importantly, they have also decided to be an arbitrator. That apart from Form 34A, what IBC is giving us, what SME is giving us, if we do a recount, what can it show? And by the way, this recount is very critical because it will create a picture. I mean, in an institution where they find the differences, then those are the ones that they've counted. They can still sit down and make a projection. If this was a trend, if they find a consistent or a persistent trend in those votes, then this is going to be part of the ground to make the decision. The hacking claim has both affidavits on Azimio side The DCI did a forensic audit, but the IBC is also producing on their end. So the hacking claim is also being looked into by the Supreme Court, and the hacking claim borders on the legal access. Now, the discrepancies in the votes, ladies and gentlemen, according to me, will form the grounds of any decision made, whether they affect the final tally or not. Why am I saying that? They have called for a recount, and of course, there were already affidavits that were sworn by Azimio. I can speculate perhaps Azimio flagged these polling stations in these areas that as ones who are as the areas where there was problems. There could also be that the Supreme Court judges, maybe when they were just going through the affidavits, they pointed out some of these errors and decided they are going to call for that recount in those places. It could also be a high-stake intelligence, because it's starting this afternoon. The recount is being done in a central place. Have the ballot boxes been flown to that undisclosed location? Has it been? It's not. Of course, it is still undisclosed because it has not yet started. But I think in the next 2 hours we will actually know where that thing is being done. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is my update from Supreme Court. I think this is the best that we can get, and we are setting the precedence. I wish that the Supreme Court does something that presets the bar so high, so that the person who will take over from Wafula Chebukati will actually happen to understand what exactly is going on. By the end of it, we will maybe find out whether Chebukati man is a man to be charged or not. But at least before that, we need to find what exactly happened.